Hey everybody, this is Silver Spook, and this is the Silver Spook Neofeud 2 update party with big news on the Cyberthrone game. Before I forget, Neofeud 1 is on sale this week, so if you have not yet, don't forget to run on down to the Steam store or the itch.io store and grab the game if you have been waiting to get it. If not, uh, if you already bought all the games you can afford this month, don't forget to wishlist it. If you like the game, if you played it already and you haven't yet left a review, don't forget to also leave one. That really helps us out here at the Silver Spook cooperative indie game. Mostly, I'm just basically solo dev at the moment, although I may be recruiting, I'll definitely be recruiting voice actors in the near future, so people who have been waiting for voice acting. Also, I apologize about the so there's rain and construction happening at this very moment, so sorry about that. But yeah, so don't forget to wishlist the game and or buy it. And yeah, we'll be talking about my laptop's also having a conniption fit over here, so let me just deal with that. But I will be talking about some of the new, brand spanking new, never before seen information on Neofeud 2. So some Neofeud 1 related stuff, and other. Why can we not connect to the internet? Sorry, my track computer is flipping out here. Yeah, so there'll be other big updates regarding Neofeud 1 and 2, including the fact that, well, the biggest thing probably is that I finished the entirety of Neofeud 2 from the first playable scene of the game. I haven't made the title screen, I guess, but from the first playable scene of the game all the way to the end of the game, including the ending, minus the credits. I don't have all the people involved yet, so I can't do that. But the whole, at least the rough version from start to finish is completely done. Neofeud 2 is, so in that sense, Neofeud 2 is done. Now it's not released yet, obviously. I've been waiting to make the Steam page because, a lot of reasons. I just like, it's just too much to. I have to bite off what I can chew at each period of time as a one-person developer. So I do the marketing, the programming, the social media promotion, like on all the social media sites on this channel. Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. I mean, a Mastodon. Facebook, Instagram. I mean, so that's like a lot of my day is just like promoting Neofeud 1, and that's a whole job right there. YouTube, Twitch, and so I'm kind of like, I have to kind of pare down what I am doing because I simply cannot do more. And I have other responsibilities, like as partner and parent, and just maintaining the household, so I've got lots of stuff to be doing. So that's part of why there's no yet a Steam page, or if something isn't, if I haven't responded to somebody, I'm trying to at least check the Steam page more nowadays, Neofeud 1 Steam page, to see what people are posting in the community, because I hadn't been for a while, because it's just like another, it's, people email me stuff, people DM me stuff, and like, if I haven't gotten to something you've messaged me about, like you asked if Neofeud 2 requires music, or would you like voice acting for Neofeud 2, if I haven't personally responded directly to you specifically, is because I am simply bombarded with messages like that. I simply do not have the time and energy to respond to every single one individually. So this is just the case. Also, I don't have a team of people because I'm one person. there's even been people who reached out to offer something for Neofeud 2, but for like including like translations to different languages. I think there is a Russian translation now, and there's another Chinese translation offer. There were offers for porting to different systems, help with, or opportunities for various platforms. Neofeud coming to other platforms, and just as kind of like a blanket thing. It's kind of like a blanket message to. I don't know if everyone who said that, everyone who has contacted me through these various places is not gonna all hear this on this YouTube channel, but I just in my own mind I will it'll help my own mind because I can't get back to all of you. Because I'm a one person dev and I'm like I'm already overloaded with Neofeud 2. Like it's taken longer than I wanted it to. But because of that, like that's basically why I don't have somebody, because for the translations and some of the porting to other systems, like that requires some people ask like, why isn't it on GOG? Why isn't Neofeud on GOG? That's all of it comes down to like there's time and energy investment to do any of those things, and while working on Neofeud 2 and promoting what exists of Neofeud 1, I don't have additional time for all of those things. I have to select. I have to like there's a limited amount of Silver Spook spoons. This is the new word that has been used in the last 10 years or so, right? I have literally limited time, energy. Also, I'm disabled. Like I have like physical disabilities. My body is not what it was when I made Neofeud 1. Like I have limited time typing at a keyboard. I'm not even joking about that. It's kind of depressing sometimes. Half of Neofeud 2 is written lying down because I literally cannot, and I can't type very fast and very well. So I literally had to like write half the game lying down. So I have limited time and energy at the keyboard to type messages to people, and also to program and to do tech support and to work on anything. Right? There's like a limited Silver Spook energy time. And so then like I have to hand select what I'm going to invest that time in. And if 100 people message me in one day, or I don't know, 20 or 30 or 50 in a day, I cannot deal with all of them. I cannot even respond to all of them, let alone invest like 50 hour or 10 or 20 hours working on doing my side of the tech support for a translation project, which can involve like extra digging through code, getting images, getting script. I worked on the GOG stuff. That's like I don't have time to deal with that. Like it just the tech stuff for that is just it's gonna stress me too thin. It's kind of like if I was to answer and respond to all those opportunities, there will never be Neofeud 2. That's another way to think about it. Like, and we don't have the funds. We're not rich. Like Neofeud 1 hasn't sold enough, and the Patreon. I mean, if you want help, I mean, if there's more Patreon and Ko-Fi and Neofeud sales, then these things might be possible. Like, I've been asked, I don't know how many thousands of times for like French, German, Spanish translations of Neofeud 1, and I'm like, I simply cannot afford it because I'm like a one-person dev. I have no corporate backing. This is a choice. It's also it is a choice because like I don't want to have my message censored, controlled. I don't want to have the game content edited. I want Neofeud to say what is necessary, what is relevant. I want it to be an authentic Silver Spook. As a native wine activist, educator, with a particular perspective. I don't want that to be controlled. So that's also a choice that I make to do the dev the way that I do it. I have been approached by other companies. Part of it is also because there are many individuals, businesses, organizations that are constantly trying to, basically exploit and scam and rip people off all the time, especially in the games industry. So I don't have the time to even investigate and background check every person, and I don't want to have to do that. I have fellow indie devs. I know several fellow indie adventure game devs who have gotten into so much problems because of like not necessarily it's not really that they failed to do something specific, but is that they have gotten into problems because they didn't have like the support network when working with certain entities. Let's just say working with certain other parties, right? It could be individuals, could be businesses, could be promotions, right? And they just got into problems, and that problems like tanked or like just like crushed them. I was just like a month ago, I was talking to several devs that I actually did a podcast with. I don't want to say anybody specifically, but like, I mean, the Silver Spook podcast, I've talked to Detective Babylon creator, the Primordia creators, the Why Jedi Games, Dave Gilbert, the creators of Gemini Rue, of several of the big adventure games, like point-and-click adventure games of the recent history. And, if you're a corporation, it's like a different thing, right? Because you're not really, if you work as an artist or a writer for a corporation or a programmer for a game company, if somebody tries to sue, like if somebody tries to like sue or cause problems with Squaresoft for Final Fantasy, let's say you worked on a Final Fantasy, or you worked on a World of Warcraft, right? Or, you worked on Black Myth Wukong or something, right? And then people have they say you stole X and Y and Z, or it could be just frivolous, they made it up, right, or whatever, or there's just some problem, right? And there's a dispute there. The corporation will mostly deal with that with its armies of lawyers that it has, right? But as an individual, right, like you don't have that kind of stuff at you don't have that kind of resources just at hand. I mean, just generally speaking, unless you're like massively resourced, right? Unless you are a neofeudal scion of like somebody who sits on a throne made of billions of dollars, and you have armies of lawyers and armies of personnel and experts and resources at your beck and call. It's a different situation for you. So anyway, what am I even talking about? That's some like behind the scenes. That's a long-winded explanation, as it always must be, inevitably, on the Silver Spook stream. About if I have not responded personally to you, these are some of the reasons, and some of the also reasons why I am a solo dev. I work on Neofeud and Neofeud 2 myself. I don't work on every game alone. Like Terminus Cyberstar is the sequel. Quick shout out to Terminus Cyberstar. Actually, I'm sorry I did not check the chat. I should have been checking the chat. What is up, McLovin? What is up, Grant? Sorry, let me read your chat back right now. Since this is a more interactive stream. So today, if you have questions, do feel free to ask them. What is up, Victor? Also, and I'll get to that because this is about updates for people and answering people's questions relating to the games and Silver Spook games. Yeah, and Holly posted there was a recent State of the Neofeudalism 2023 stream I did. Well, actually, there's a Neofeud 2 coming soon. Neofeud 2 updates stream I did a couple months ago. I hope all the money comes your way. Yeah, thanks a lot to McLovin, also specifically for your generous support. It definitely does help us out. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to McLovin and everyone else who has supported us, Ko-Fi, Patreon. I saw, like, people said, have you ever thought about doing a Kickstarter? And I was like, I have thought about doing a Kickstarter. Kickstarter is like a whole other job, though. That's what I've been told by people who run Kickstarters. I just watched this it's Halloween month, right? So it's spooky month, Silver Spooky month. And I recently watched like Onyx the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, which is a very fun movie. It's definitely like a millennial core passion project, actual art, actual writing, art, human energy, and love went into that thing. It has Neofeud Silver Spook Games characteristics in that sense. But the creator Andrew Bowser is running the Kickstarter, and it's like handling all the rewards tiers, getting many boxes of merchandise sent out to so many different people is itself like a whole I don't want to swear it is a whole behind job, you know what I'm saying? And that would also swamp me, so I've kind of shied away from that for the present. But yeah, anyway, long story short, but yeah, I mean, all the Patreon support, if you do have the ability to support us to Patreon, consider jumping in there and helping us out, because it really does help us to keep the lights on while I finish this game. And of course, Ko-Fi, just grabbing Neofeud and any of the other games. Like obviously you can get, you probably already know this, but if you don't, you can get Neofeud on itch.io, Neofeud 1 on itch.io, and of course you can also get it on, you can get it on Steam, as always. As I said, since I'm already on the Steam page, I have been trying to check the community a little bit more often. I haven't posted an update for Neofeud in a long time. Somebody asked, like, when are you gonna fix all the bugs? And I'm like, thank you for reporting the bugs. As far, I mean, I did release a patch. If there's at least one patch for Neofeud. I haven't seen anybody share anything that where it's like completely blindsided people, and it's like, you know, because to do more Neofeud 2 again, this is gonna push to go back in it, getting all the Neofeud material and working in Neofeud again, and then remembering the Steam system. It will massively delay Neofeud 2. Let's put it that way. So that's why I'm kind of like pausing everything to just finish Neofeud 2. Like I said, it's kind of like, it's like each hat that I wear is not, I mean, and I'm sorry, this is mostly just like, almost like a long apology letter, or it's like an explanation of like what Silver Spook Games actually is. One misunderstanding is people think Silver Spook Games is like a big, I mean, I understand, like, it is a high compliment to say, some people have said like Neofeud feels like watching like a Hollywood movie sometimes, because there's like, you know, I mean, it's not like a 3D, it's not an X-Men, you know, it's not a, you know, it's not Multiverse of Madness, right, or something. It's not Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's not like super high definition, but there is like the story and the characters and the like people, like I felt glued to my seat wanting to figure out what would happen next to the characters. And it feels like hype, you know, that those parts of it is like, it just, you know, it's like a 2D hand painted, you know, and it's kind of like punky, you know, it's intentionally kind of grungy looking because I wanted to have a punk feel to it. But some people said, like, you know, it feels like it's like made by a team, but Neofeud is not made by a team. Neofeud is one person, that's me, and I was working a full-time job when I made this game. I made it like, I can't even believe I actually made it in 2.5 years sometimes, but I made Neofeud in 2.5 years. I was learning. This is the first game I made in AGS. I made like a couple like small little projects, but Neofeud is the first game I made in the Adventure Game Studio engine. I was learning the engine while I was making this game. I made it in my off time while working as a STEM teacher for underserved, at-risk youth. So like, I don't have a company. There's no company. I mean, there is the Silver Spook Games cooperative business, yes, but it's me and Holly, like, is the, of course, like, invaluable support system without which there would be no Neofeud at all. Because I would, you know, obviously like domestic, taking care of, you know, the majority of the child care, majority of the household care, cooking, all that kind of stuff, support with, you know, everything in my life. I can't find my socks half the time. But also like support with promotion and obviously moderating, right? But when it comes to like actually programming the game itself, writing the game itself, like making the art and the animations, that's just me. you know. And when it comes to like, you know, posting on all the social media, answering all your tech questions, you know, dealing with all the inquiries, I don't have a secretary. I don't have like a social media team. I am the social media team. Like, I don't have like somebody to stream for me. I stream like 12 hours a week. You know, some of that's just like, you know, I'm doing other stuff, but some of it's also promoting for the game, right? So that's why I cannot like just jump, and like for each thing I'm doing, like if I'm working on the art and the story from Neofeud 2, that's like, how do I describe this? It's kind of like having like there's construction happening right now, right? In order to you have to get the bulldozer, right, the backhoe to like to rip up huge tons of rock, right? The backhoe, each one of those machines is like, you have to invest time and energy. You have to book people to come, right? You have to get the correct driver that is properly skilled. You have to have the insurance, right? And if that's scheduled for a particular day, it takes a lot of energy to like ramp up and get that going, right? It's kind of like you have to like invest a lot of energy and time to begin to tear a lot. So they're like, when you're working, you kind of want to get all the work done. Like they were asking the other day, can we use some of your lot to, you know, bulldoze? We want to take down this tree, and it's kind of like, because we're here, and then if we don't do it now, like it's gonna cost tens of thousands of dollars. We're gonna have to like schedule all kind of stuff to get this team of 10 people back here. So you want to get, while the iron is hot, right? While the stove is hot, while the burner is burning. I forget which metaphor is the correct one I was looking for, right? You want to you know, cook while the fire is on, strike while the iron is hot. I haven't had enough coffee, and I was playing Doom. I was playing Brutal Doom mod of John Romero's Sigil 2 too late at night, and I can't remember everything I wanted to say. But long story short is that if while I'm working, what I mean is that like when I'm deep in Neofeud 2, like I'll throw something else on the screen. When I'm deep in Neofeud 2's development, I have like all these characters, I have all this story, I have all this like what state is the ex-Marine named after Nostromo, the book by Joseph Conrad, celebrated anti-colonial novel, like what is his name, right? What is his mental state at this point in the game, right? What galaxy, like what is the name of like 25 separate, I mean it's very, if you know Neofeud 1, the world building is very complex. Like that's part of it. This is not just like, you know, I mean I love Mario, but I mean at least in Mario 1 and Mario 2, it's like, it's not that complicated, you know. It's like the lore of Tetris, right? If you're working on that game, it's mostly just, it's about the gameplay. It's about the, right, the blocks moving, right? And even some games like Doom, right? It, you know, it's you're shooting demons, you know, and there's big nasty corporations and military, and you know, and it's UAC, and they're like they're opening portals, right? But like Neofeud 1 and Neofeud 2 deal with like the entirety of human history and weird ways, and very kind of specific ways. And the character, the core is the character's narrative, and there's like so much information to deal with. You know, like at what point is the, you know, where is the billion-year-old alien, you know, that's helping the ex-Marine with his you know, cyber brain being repeatedly hacked by the galactic CIA to install propaganda. How is, you know, what is the mental state? What is the relationship? What is the situationship / relationship between this character and that character? The goth green-haired alien chick and the ex-Marine dude whose brain she's trying to cyber hack the COINTEL disinfo out of, right? What is their relationship state? Like that kind of stuff is like, it's so much, you know, it's just like so much. I don't have any space for like a lot of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Well, because I have to do that. I also have to teach math, science, tech, and engineering. I'm also teaching. I'm mostly teaching like here at the Silver Spook Cooperative, but like there's just so much going on in my head. just preparing lesson plans. Yesterday I was actually teaching school. Yesterday was actually School of Rock. I was teaching the kids to play Rebel Girl by Bikini Kill, which is a lot of fun. Our ace child, who is also in one of our, may one day be representing Silver Spook games. Who knows? Or is already a member of Silver Spook Cooperative. But I was teaching them how to play, punk songs or "Creep" by Radiohead. Part of being a millennial now is being an elder. It's being a veteran in the fight against the clownigarchy, as I like to call it now. That's the way. I was also this all has to go together. I was actually writing a song, like what you're seeing on screen is a scene from Neofeud 2, and I was actually writing a again ex-marine ex-terminator, an ex-terminator whose job was exterminating indigenous peoples across the galaxy for colonial for Space Empire. And he and the kind of main characters, they form at some point in the game. They have a band, right? The main guy like dreams of having a band. It's kind of like when I was 12 and I dreamt of having a band. I did have a band in high school, and that's part of the millennial core of Neofeud 2 as well. And so they form a band and they play music. So I was like, what I should do is I should form a band in the Silver Spook family / cooperative. All businesses should be run as family, and all families should not be as healthy and in the house. Whether your family and your household is also working together in business, or you're going to an office somewhere, everything should be, the environment should be healthy and positive, and people should care about each other, not be empty cogs spinning their wheels, burning out for a giant Leviathan faceless corporation that doesn't care about them. Anyway, so I was like, let's play some rock music. But also, like, they needed to learn some, we hadn't done music classes in a while, and I was like, let's do some music. And it's also you get some energy out. It's a different modality. But anyway, so now they know Bikini Kill's Rebel Girl. Very important to know. Very important. Feminist girl power with like 3 R's. Like Tank Girl soundtrack gem. I'm pretty sure. You gotta know your Rebel Girl. Only has 2 chords, which is amazing. Learn what power chords is. The ability to teach your teenage. The joys of teaching your Gen Alpha teenager power chords. It is a unmissable milestone in one's life. Anyways, and also our son was learning how to drum on half-filled Dasani. Oh, I'm sorry, unbranded, great value water bottles. The 3-gallon water jugs, random cardboard boxes that had delivered, Frankenstein decorations for our house. Our house is always Halloween. This is a goth household. Like, Halloween is just the bigger shopping. Halloween is just a day where we shop for 365 days worth of clothes. Just go to Walmart and just raid the whole thing. I'm not even joking about that. It's not even a joke. That's literally my entire wardrobe, and it's just the blowout day, 75% off. Walmart Halloween aisle is basically what it is. Anyways, I am completely off all the topics. Let me look at the chat, and but yeah, big update is that Neofeud Rough. If in case you just tuned in, the Neofeud Rough version from start to finish is done. I must now go back, clean up all of the I have to edit. I went back on Friday. I finished it Friday, and then I went back at the end of Friday. It's like like when you beat Resident Evil, and it gives you the option of like New Game Plus. or like when you beat Final Fantasy 3 or 7, and it's like, would you like to start a new game with like a new coat? Like you can give Chris Redfield gets like I forget what he gets. He gets like gets like flames on like a leather biker jacket look, and then Jill Valentine gets like a evening gown, like a cocktail dress. I can't remember. I know they look more like special forces cops in the beginning. So like I finished Neofeud and 2 dev, and now I begin the Neofeud 2 dev. New game plus. It's just where I go through the whole entire game again. I'm gonna have to move and bring in some things, fix it up. I gotta fix all kind of like this bugs. It hasn't been tested. Like it's gotta be after I'm done going through the game. It has to be tested more, obviously. I gotta add this music. I gotta add the sound. I haven't decided who's gonna do the music. If it's me, I still, I'm leaving that off. I gotta get the voice acting. So the voice acting casting call is gonna come soon. I said beginning of November, I'll put out the casting call for voice actors. I'm still gonna aim for that. I can't guarantee when exactly it will happen because it depends on how long it takes me to go through the whole game. And I might say that, that whole scene that has to be cut, or like this scene needs a little bit more dialogue because this is not properly explained. I don't want to send the Neofeud 2. Let me put something else up on the screen while I talk because you've been watching this for a while. This is a Neofeud 2. Where's the second trailer? I had the shoot. Let me see if I can get the Neofeud 2 second trailer. And I'm gonna look at the chat in a second. Just give me 1 second here. Where did I save the video? I know I posted because I have like a longer trailer. Wait, let me see if I have it in here. Let's see, Neofeud 2. It's on this YouTube channel. That's right. Or is it? No, maybe I. Okay, sorry. Neofeud 2 trailer. Yeah, here, this one. Is this it? Okay. Actually, wait, no, not that one. Okay, anyway, let me look at the chat while this plays. McLovin says, let me go back up. Yeah, it's not. Okay, this is to us. Onyx the Fortuitous. I did enjoy Onyx the Fortuitous, yes. People not appreciating how much work goes into the stuff behind the scenes is so relatable. Indeed. Sorry, I was trying to scroll through all these chats. Okay, thanks for stopping in, McLovin. Also, Scale Sibbins, what is up? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, if you just tune in, I'm just like doing updates. If you have questions, this is gonna be more interactive than usual, so you can feel free to ask the questions in the chat or comment. What you can do, say whatever you want. Related to Neofeud 2, I'm focusing on like updating people about Neofeud 2, where it's at, Silver Spook games and stuff like that. Okay. Anyways, but what you are watching right now, in case you don't know, this is another in-game trailer I recently put out in the last few months. All of everything you're watching on screen was produced in the last few months. August, September. Yeah, in August and September. It's kind of like, the latest stuff. What was I saying before that? Yeah, so like Neofeud 2, like when I'm working on the Neofeud 2, I want to get everything done that I possibly can get done. um, while I have all the information in my head, because it's just like a lot. It's just so much, right? Like I said, and I have other responsibilities to attend to. So and that's kind of why it's another reason why I'm like I cannot. I've already bitten off more than I can chew in one sense. Like I'm only realizing that now. So this is some other like behind the scenes backstory on Neofeud too. Like I have, you know, I think I talked about it last time, but I have gone through. Let me back up a bit. When I finished Neofeud 1, I, you know, obviously was looking at feedback, and you know, one lesson is like don't pay too extraordinarily close attention to every single person's feedback, because you know, but this is the first time I'd released the game, and so you know, I read too many comments too deeply into too many comments. This is one thing is, do not this is a pro tip. Any independent artist, creator, writer, game maker, filmmaker, whatever. I mean, many people know this already, but some people don't. It's hard because of the way that algorithms and the modern gestures vaguely around, you know, the modern landscape, where you have the major methods of content distribution, information distribution, all the platforms. You know, we're talking about Facebook, Google, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, you know, etc. They're all geared towards, you know, obviously, you know, it's just trying to hold as much of your mental and physical, ultimately, space and time, you know, the economy of the billions of eyeballs that they're trying to all vie for, right? The attention economy, whatever they used to call it. That is all being NSHIT-ified. I'm trying not to sort too much so that because the algorithm don't like that. Part of the reality is completely modifying your entire speech. Is a whole new culture, right? It is like mega corporate platform censorship dodging ease. There's like a whole new language, right, of unaliving and you know, putting a lot of asterisks in your words. You know, saying the word grape has a whole new meaning. Yeah, people are gonna be like, when you say grape now, people are like, ooh, I don't want to talk about that. No, it's the fruits that make the delightful juice. Oh, that, you know. Anyway, but part of like dealing with that constant the, you know, you have to, like, people are, you know, more upset. There's a lot of rage. There's a lot of, you know, people with a lot of opinions, and people who have opinions that gather a lot of attention, which is, you know, what controversy or whatever. I mean, most YouTube videos have some kind of title that is trying to, you know, rage farm, you know, outrage farm something, right? And so then when I'm reading the reviews for Neofeud 1, right, I was like reading the comments on YouTube, which is like, again, don't do that. Like, and if you do read comments on YouTube, do not pay too close attention to them. And you have to learn how to just like let a lot of this stuff just like, okay, well, I'm not gonna read that person's thing. Like, that's like a new skill I've had to learn the last 7 years since Neofeud 1's release. Oh my god, has it been 7 years? Yeah, 7 years. Is like not reading every single comment too deeply, and learning to just like, look, well, that's whatever. 'Cause I mean, in the beginning, like I was not good at that. You know, my part was, you know, when I was growing up, I was like bullied in school. You know, for many reasons, and so like I just like I immediately, like, my porcupine bristles immediately go up, and I can't, and then I spent a lot of time like being in like weird, not weird, just like online, like internet, early 2000s, like I was talking about like atheist versus theist, religious versus non-religious, like YouTube debate world of the 2000s and the late 2000s. But I was like in a lot of online forums, like arguing with people way too long, like wasting like being at work and like trying to write arguments in my head or on paper sometimes to respond to somebody's you know, take on George W. Bush or something. And like I just don't have time and energy to like, you can spend so much time and energy trying to like respond to and refute to disingenuous peoples and trolls, you know, posts, replies, messages, comments. So like that, and the part of it is like discovering I don't even have the time, right? I don't have the time. I don't have the time to respond to everything. I have to pick and choose. I don't have the time and the energy to respond to everything. I have to pick and choose what I'm going to respond to, right? And so, as I had already talked about earlier in the stream, and so, but like one of the things I started responding to was Neofeud 1. The art of Neofeud 1 is not just like not good enough to many people's standards. Neofeud 1, it's inconsistent, or it changes too much. Like it looks different, and it looks in this quality here, and it looks this quality in one scene, and it's a different quality in another scene, and people didn't like that. So I was like, and some of that's like part of it is like thinking back, I'm like, I probably should not have listened too deeply to those random Steam users and YouTube people or whatever's comments. I mean, like everybody can say what they want to say, but it's kind of like you don't have to, as an artist, you don't have to, and you simply cannot like appease every single person and change your work to fit whatever the audience asks for. Like you also don't want to not give anybody. You don't want to give people an experience you don't want to make something that nobody wants, obviously. But like, but in responding to that, what the comments were like, oh, this art is, I don't like this art. It has to be better, higher quality. I don't think people even really understand what they're talking about when some people that they say that they don't really know what they're even talking about. But, I was like, okay, I have to make a higher production value. Neofeud 2 was basically, what I was coming to. I sorry, this has been playing for so long. We just changed that out. And so, the algorithm does thrive on negativity. Yeah, unfortunately. I'm coming more and more to the conclusion that like I need to like the algorithms they are like very much not good, and I need to it's not even like the negativity that is I mean the negativity, that's the problem. There's very bad things happening in the world that need attention, that need even more attention than they currently get. But they're like, the algorithm is just like producing so much of the same exact thing. Like I'll watch a video, a news update, and I'll see exactly the same update on an event that happened in the Middle East, or an event that's happening in the United States political system. And like, I already know that. I know what Kamala Harris said. I know the response. I don't need to see like 25,000 more videos on that. Or I know that happened. I don't need to see every single person's take on that. And also sometimes I'm like, I don't need to see the same person's take on the same topic. Because some people on YouTube, they'll make videos that are basically the same video as last time, but with like slightly different events in the current events. So a lot of what's streaming is like, here's the same thing I said yesterday with like slightly updated, what in today's news slightly differently. And like, and even I sometimes like, I feel like I need to do something different, but it's kind of like the algorithm really just wants that. It wants like, say the same thing, do the same thing with some giant thumbnail and giant text, do the same thing you did yesterday, but slightly different. And if you upload videos like every day, then it really likes that, and it'll keep throwing that in people's faces. But it's kind of like, I'm not actually learning anything from that, because I already know 98% of what the person is going to say with just a little bit of news. And but that's a whole tech, techno-feudal dystopian collateral damage to my and everyone else's psyche, minds, mental and physical and spiritual health. Anyway, but long story. So what, getting back to Neofeud 2. So one of the reasons why I've said this before, but one reason why Neofeud 2 has taken 7 years is because I was working on making the game at a higher graphical. I was trying to have more production value, spend more time on every single art asset to make it better quality, right, than Neofeud 1. But that caused me to spend so much time. It actually like bogged down the creative process that was part of the soul of Neofeud 1. It made it difficult at times. to get through. Like some scenes took like months, and it's like way too long, and I was like getting like bored in the scene. It's like it was becoming like, I mean, like there's always parts of game dev that's just like it's just grind, like it's inevitable. But it was like it was taking unnecessarily long. Like in Neofeud 1, it took time, but it didn't take as long, you know, because I was just like, I want to get the message across. I don't care if like this paint stroke is not perfect. Like I don't care like this character is not, the animation is not going to be so smooth with like new, like every time Protégé's arm moves, I'm not going to repaint the entire arm like brushstroke by brushstroke. Some people do that, and it's, you know, that's amazing. You know, like I do not have thousands of animators like a Studio Ghibli team. You know, I'm like one person, and I have to do everything, right? And Neofeud is at a weird resolution, and part of that is a weird choice that I made. It's at 1366, right? It's like Neofeud is like a high resolution. It's like nearly HD resolution 90s pixel art game. That's one of the things that gives it that weird, unique feel. Which, I mean, I'm glad that I did do that. It's sometimes I'm not glad because it's hard. Because the resolution is so high, right? Then it takes more time to like paint and repaint. So I'm like, well, I don't have. I'm gonna like, you know, I'm gonna move the arms and legs as you know, individual Photoshop layers. And some people didn't like that, right? But it's just like, well, too bad. Because if I had to repaint the characters, there would be no Neofeud done for a century, and then there would be no Neofeud at all. You know, like decisions had to be made. You know what I'm saying? Like when people say like, you know, like you know, like when people say like Neofeud is the you know, a diamond in storytelling in the scrap pile, you know. A non-stop feast of deja vus of interesting but arguably worse games from the 90s, like Noctropolis, Harvester, I Have No Alternate Scream, done by one person from Hawaii, and, you know, etc. When people say all these positive things, like, you know, a dystopic cyberpunk vision of the future that is rapidly becoming the present with depth, with pathos, social commentary incisive enough to make your eyeballs bleed, a truly impeccable cyberpunk aesthetic. In order to make that game that is like this unique thing, there is no, Neofeud could not have been made in a corporation environment. It could not have been made. It literally could not. I can tell you this because I actually looked for publishers. Neofeud was rejected by multiple publishers. They said the things that Neofeud is saying about the corporate world, about the business world, United States, the collective West, the political realities, specific hyper wealthy billionaires, what Neofeud was saying was like unacceptable. Like they said, you would have to edit this whole message. In fact, like there was somebody who was asking about movie deals and movie rights and stuff like that, and they were like, we have to change all of this, right? Like movie and TV shows made from Neofeud, and like, you know, and so like Neofeud could not have been made by EA Games. It could not have been made by Blizzard. It would not have been made by even many indie game companies, because a lot of those are like capitalist, you know, they're capitalist, colonialist. They have to like cater to certain sensibilities of certain kinds of audiences, let's just say, right? And certain kinds of investors, right? Neofeud has no investors. Neofeud had zero investment. Let me say that again. Neofeud had zero funding, right? Neofeud had the spare time that I had while working full time as an underpaid teacher, social worker for extremely poor kids in the ghettos of Honolulu, Hawaii, right? That's why Neofeud is the way that it is. That's why it feels like, oh my God, why is this imperfect, right? Oh my gosh, why does Protégé's face look like that? Like, why does this feel so real? Like, why does this go so hard? That's the only way that it could have been made. If I tried to get funding for it, it would not be Neofeud. If I got funding for Neofeud and made it into a bigger project, it would just be, you know, it would be here's another Shadowrun like something or other that, you know, kind of looks like the other one before that and doesn't go hard enough. and is made by a capitalist corporation that is exploiting its workers. And is probably invested in the military industrial complex and the prison industrial complex and several other horrible things, right? It's probably sending money to unalived children and Palestine, right? Almost every single game company, like almost every single Western company, is invested in the ongoing greatest mass atrocity that you can watch on your phone, right? So similarly, like literally every day I see another writer. I see like tabletop game makers being like, oh, they're not gonna make my game because I had a watermelon somewhere in my shirt, right? Another author is like, oh, we're not gonna work on that. My book is not being converted into a TV show. So like, to do that kind of work while also making entertainment, certainly in the Western world, in the United States and any of its places like that, it has to be done, not funded by it's basically almost anybody who has any money in the West. Individual wealthy people, corporations. It's got to be crowdfunded. It's got to be crowdsourced. It's got to be like just random individuals that want to support it, if anything. Or you just got to make it in your spare time. It really sucks. It shouldn't be that way. That's really terrible. But that's just like, that's what it is. It is what it is. Even like Onyx and the Talisman of Souls, just to bring that back up. Like, they got like a few $100,000, right? I mean, like the movie was actually like more entertaining than a lot of big mainstream movies with way more funny that I've seen, right? A lot of it almost feels like half of it's AI generated. I mean, I know a lot of it isn't, but I mean, some of it they're cutting corners, they're paying people less. The stories are uninspired, like, Trustafarian or like neo-feudal descendants with mommy and daddies with boatloads of cash, right? That are writing boring stories about their life being way well off, and they're mostly unrelatable to the majority of people, right? But like, then you have the occasional like actually relatable show that's massively underfunded, right? It's kind of two. It's like Schrodinger's entertainment, right? You have like mostly unrelatable, like way overfunded, unrelatable, like ripoffs of shows that we already know about, that we've already seen before, or you have like very relatable, massively underfunded entertainment that you wish had more props and stuff. But what people were able to do with the limited budget, right? Like in Onyx, the Talisman of Souls, or like in Neofeud, many people appreciate, and you have to just forgive the roughness of it, right? Because it's like going to a punk show. If you expect like a 300-foot wide, 100-foot tall stage with like, millions of dollars worth of computerized, synchronized special effects, fireworks, pyrotechnics, like 100-person dance troops at a punk show, right? And you're like, why was the production value? Why was it like 3 kids who don't know how to play like more than 4 chords, just like banging on their guitar, right? With the amps, like, not even properly sound checked, in the venue that has like homeless people sleeping outside of it. You're like, why wasn't there more production value in this punk show, right? It's like asking like, why wasn't Neofeud higher production value than it is sometimes? I mean, it's basically the same thing. It's a punk game. I mean, what do you want? Do you want soulless corporate, but like with highly talented people wasting their lives working on the next Marvel cash cow? Or do you want something that has a soul in it, that is like less expensive and doesn't have the highest product? That's the only things you're going to get. You're never going to get anything other than that, as long as we have the current political, social, and economic structures we live in. You know what I'm saying? Let me read the chat. Hey, what is up? What is up, Vic Teal and Victor Gill? Yes, I'm just too punk. I'm too cyberpunk. I'm a true believer in the punk, the final 4 characters of cyberpunk. I believe it can still be punk. I know when I say the word cyberpunk, half the audience hears Cybertruck and they think of Elon Musk and some billionaire with a imported 37-year-old Japanese wife who is forced to wear schoolgirl uniforms, like generic Sailor Scouts, while parenting his child. I'm not even joking. We just ran into a guy with a Cybertruck at the library the other day. It's like rich, very rich American dude with an imported Asian wife, literally in a schoolgirl outfit. And it disturbs me to think that's what's, when I say cyberpunk, right? People think of like a lot of Cyberpunk 2077 players, and or the cyber, like people that like, they're like crypto bro, NFT dude, podcast man. I was just listening to like Haymarket Books. They're saying like anybody who says any dude or like dude passing or dude adjacent proximal person that says, I've been listening to a podcast, it's like, oh my god, no, he's gone down the rabbit hole to hell, and not the good hell with gay Lil Nas and gay Satan, the bad hell. Like when somebody says I'm listening to a podcast, it's like, oh my god, what has become of this person in my life? They're gone now. They're dead to me, unfortunately. Not always, but it's like, and when you say cyberpunk, it kind of feels like that's what, I don't know, but like sometimes, like depending, like it seems like that what is kind of what it has come to mean, and it's very unfortunate because I put the word cyberpunk on my game. But when I think of cyberpunk, I think of like I think of the punk. I think of like the unbridled scream of truth against an infinite barrage of lies that is all, vapid consumerist capitalist liberal neoliberal culture, and also obviously all the other adjacent systems, and that's what when I think of cyberpunk, I still think of that. I don't think of Cybertruck. I think of like Neuromancer. I think of Deus Ex. I think of I think of like the Matrix was, it was a transgressive movie that was many things, but also a metaphor for transition itself. And that's the kind of stuff that I think of. Maybe that's like an old weird millennial core nerd perspective. It's like not the mainstream perspective, because that was one thing I kind of dreaded the release of Cyberpunk 2077, because it would take Cyberpunk, the concept, from this obscure literary, like it's like like a PhD in English majors who have a weird obsession with Blade Runner, and like San Francisco programmer, deep lore. Cyberpunk was this particular weird thing. It was not well known. If you said Cyberpunk like 10 years, 15 years ago, people were like, what the hell are you talking about? Right? Maybe if you said that in like a room at any party, maybe one person would have heard of it. Somebody might have seen Blade Runner a long time ago. Somebody read a William Gibson book. But it wasn't like that thing with that thing with all the robot arms. It's that thing with all the neons and the Keanu Reeves, Keanu Reeves in the video game. It's that thing that Elon Musk is invested in, or that he wants to be. It's like it would have been. It was a different. It meant something different. It was like a sub genre of science fiction. Yes, the literary world already put like punk after everything to sell their books, like steampunk, rage punk, biopunk, diesel punk, something punk, because punk is a nerdy. It is a kind of nerdy, like it's rage filled, and there's a lot of working class people that show up for punk shows, but it's also like it is pretty nerdy. It's people who think about the world enough to come to the conclusions that they have come to, which is beyond the ken of most of the United States, certainly, that can't read above 56% of whom can't read above a 6th grade level, right? So it's kind of like, so the punk is the political action that is outgrowth of the. If you're educated in the West, it's inevitable that you will come to extreme rage because you understand what is happening is a horrible thing, right? So the modality of punk, which is based upon massive anger and rage at the injustices in the society that you exist within, is a natural outcome of becoming educated, nerdy, etc. Right? I mean, if you weren't, there's something wrong with you. If you didn't become upset because of your far right Christian upbringing or your Catholic or Protestant flavor of that, and you make some songs about like, screw you, God, and the pastor, blah blah blah, like, and if you after you leave, bucolic but hyper oppressive, Alabama, you come to the city, in San Francisco. If you didn't make punk, or you at least feel those feelings that are expressed in punk, something is probably wrong with you. Your mirror neurons and your empathic modules may be malfunctioning. Anyways, or that, and or your sense of self-worth, and maybe you're going to be a tradcore, cottagecore, waifu on the TikTok, right? Churning butter for JD Vance, right? Let me read the chat and stop rambling or high frequency, high jet decibel volume educating. What is up, Victor Gil Uria? Yeah, not that car. Yes, we saw the Cybertruck. I've seen only one good use for that car, and that was a fish tank, not suitable for driving at all. The Cybertruck, even as a fish tank, the Cybertruck will rust out if you drive it in normal rain conditions, and you're not extremely careful and wipe it off within like minutes of going through rain. The Cybertruck will rust in potentially less than a year. It'll just start rusting out because it uses untreated steel. You could use steel. Like, cars are made of steel, but they like have protection to prevent rusting for many years, up to decades even. Because I don't even know how to describe how ridiculous that is, right? Speaking of rage, right? Raging against the machine. It was actually normal humans who understand basic properties of ferrous material, like iron and steel. It was Rage Against the Machine was the normal humans with base level, like 4th grade science knowledge, getting upset at the Cybertruck. That's what Rage Against the Machine was actually about. Raging against the cyber machine, the stupidity of this broken ass Cybertruck. That's what Rage Against the Machine was. I'm just angry that it exists on like simultaneously an aesthetic level, on a basic science level, on a consumer protection level, because the Cybertruck also can kill you, cut your fingers off like a Ginsu knife if you accidentally leave your pointer in the closing trunk door. On every level, right? On a health level, on a public health level, the Cybertruck fills the air with now you don't simply have COVID, wildfire ash, biolab, chlorine gas to contend with. Now you must contend with the trillions of aerosolized Cybertruck rust flakes. Like a powder. It's like a powder of crystallized, a powder of crystallized Elon stupidity ground away by the rain and then sprayed into your face. It's like Elon's smug idiocy just like blowing into your nasal passage. You have to get like a nasal swab to detect how much of that has infected you every time you watch a Cybertruck promotional video, right? Or like a space, like a SpaceX launch that fails to rescue astronauts. Yeah, you have to nasal swab yourself. Am I inhaling this neo-feudal emerald diapered baby human fail son of empire Elon? Am I inhaling Elon ectoplasm? Have I caught the Elon? Have I caught the fail son of empire disease? Because the Cybertruck, legitimately though, the rust, if it rusts and it's sitting in your garage, you gotta watch out that thing doesn't just flake out, and you just start inhaling Cybertruck rust while you're sleeping at night. That's the new way to commit the way that one unalives oneself, right? The suicide in Neofeud 2 is not closing your garage door, turning on your internal combustion engine, right? Because this is the thing is in Neofeud 2, the West is capitalist imperialist world, all runs on combustion engines, unlike the advanced world, right? The indigenous civilized world is running on EVs, right? With a giant 100% tariff wall to stop it from coming into the collapsing barbarous hellscape where everyone must use gas guzzling Hummers and overpriced broken Ford F-150s, right? And in the West you commit suicide, but you used to do that, right, by parking your giant overpriced Ford F-150, turn on the engine, and then wait for the carbon monoxide to bump you off your mortal coil. But you see in Neofeud 2, what you do is you sit in your garage, right, that has no roof because you can't afford roof replacements and it just rains through the garage. And you sit in your roofless garage, right, with biolab chlorine gas spewing in. There's a Category 7 hurricane NATO with fire pyronados, lightning nados, and like ice nados all around you, right? Depending on, where the jet stream is, you're going to get ice nados or fire nados, right? And but since you're lucky because you prayed to Elon, then the weather doesn't hit you. So what you do is you sit there and you wait for the rain to rust your Cybertruck out. With each little drop of rain slowly rusting the truck out until the entire roof, until the trapezoidal, ridiculously stupid looking roof that looks like a bad version of a Deus Ex 1997 video game car. When that stupid trapezoid, I saw the Cybertruck. It's so like it looks like a toy. It looks like a bad child's toy. Like my 10-year-old son could have modeled a better car than that. Like we're just starting to learn milkshake. we're gonna work on Half-Life Mod, dude. It's an absolute. It is the perfect symbol of the United States. It's a perfect symbol of the collective West, actually, the Cybertruck. Stupid, overpriced, bad design, falling apart like the United States. Military losing to the poorest Arab country. It's beautiful, beautifully ugly in that sense. And the Cybertruck, people sit in their cars and they wait for the rain to rust the roof out, rust the hood out, right? Rust all of their, crypto bro NFT, all their failed ChatGPT schemes to make money, destroying the world. The stickers start to peel off as the rust collects and rots the husk of the Cybertruck away. And as they sit in their now convertible, because the roof is gone, on their house and on the Cybertruck, and they see people will sit there, Americans will sit there and just inhale vast, like thousands of cubic square feet of aerosolized rust till they die. Cybertruck rust till they die. That's how you commit suicide in Neofeud 2. You don't need carbon monoxide, right? That's the old way. But the cool new way to die, the cool way to unalive oneself in the dying, failed Western empire that you're in, colonial capitalist racist empire that you're in, right? As a descendant of unhealed Star-Spangled Roman trauma and the original Roman trauma, is to just breathe in condensed billionaire neo-feudal aristocrat dust. Just suck in that dust till it clogs your lungs, and then you die. That's a good way to die. Anyways, I know I got dark real fast, but the car company, all crimes against humanity, and at least in Neofeud 2, you can find advanced technology that has actual use and benefit to people in the galaxy. Yeah, like in Neofeud 2, in Neofeud 2, there's very bright and happy scenes, and then there's less bright scenes. To change it, also we haven't seen Big Teal in a bit. Our good friend Big Teal, so good to see you again. Glad you had some time to stop in. There's another Neofeud 2 scene. Let's see if I have that in here. Here's another scene from Neofeud 2 in case you did miss that one. Oh, actually no, that's a. Okay, let me get the. Actually, here I'll show you a little GIF. Here's an example of some of the animation I worked on. I saved that one. Yeah, here. So check this out. Oh, I want to open this. Can I open this in a new tab? Here is an animation that I made for Neofeud 2. I was trying to remember like how to. I've never actually done a musical scene in a game, so that was at least that was new and that was fun. So this scene actually has like live music in it, and people playing instruments. I never animated that, so that was fun to kind of figure out how to do that. So I'm trying to get it to show up on my screen. Ooh. If you haven't yet, don't forget Neofeud 1 is on sale right now. So if you go run, skip, hop, flip, jump, backflip, backstroke, do not drive a Cybertruck, but get to Steam, grab you that Neofeud. Victor says, so much Cybertruck rust, Eli will terraform Earth before terraforming Mars. Indeed. It'll be the red planet from his cyber rust. Also, congratulations on the Neofeud 2 update. I know it's been a long time in the works. It looks amazing. Great work you have done. Put into it. Thanks a lot, Big T.O. Oh. Why has my YouTube frozen? Weird. Okay, let me see if I can find this. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, here. Okay. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to full screen the I'm trying to full screen this animation I made. Get into Google Chrome, please. There you go. But yeah, feel free, if you have any other questions about things, you can feel free to ask them. Yeah, so this is one of the animations that I made. It was a good time. It was good fun. Oh, you can't see the whole thing. So zoom out a little bit. There you go. So I forgot where I was and where I came from. Was there anything I did not talk about? Let me just go back and look at this. This is what Cyberpunk Revolution. What is a Cyberpunk Revolution without a neon-filled punk show to celebrate the dethroning of CEO kings? Indeed. Was there anything else I said I was gonna do that I have not done? Neofeud 2 Rough Draft is done. More updates on the Cybertron game plus other Silver Spook news. Okay, what's anything? Let me think if I didn't touch on any of the other Silver Spook news. Oh yeah. So one news is that Neofeud 1. Let me go through the community. So people ask questions, so I tried to respond to them in the Steam community. So somebody asked, like, does Neofeud 1? It's kind of like a technical thing, but somebody asked, like, does Neofeud 1 work on Windows 10 and 11? I thought this was obvious, but maybe it's not. So does it play on Windows 10 and Windows 11? If so, change that. So I did change it so that Neofeud will run on any Windows. It just actually the minimum says Windows 98, and then it says Windows. Recommended was Windows 7 or higher, right? But like it's basically I just added or higher, right? So basically any Windows, and processor, Pentium or higher. It's because Neofeud runs on Adventure Game Studio, and it will run on anything that came out in like 1999 or 2000. So like any Windows and Windows is for these games at least, and for Adventure Game Studio, is backwards compatible with basically all the Windows, all Windows computers. So that answers that question. So yes, it's compatible with any Windows, including 10 and 11. Neofeud 1 is. I don't know why that question only just came up now. It's a bit weird, but anyways, somebody asked, "Is there different endings in Neofeud 1?" I just started the game. I'm curious, is there more than one ending? Also, can I act differently and get different results? Thanks for playing Neofeud. While there are not completely different pathways and divergent endings, you can get different results in many scenes depending on your actions. One of the achievements in Neofeud actually requires the player to discover all the ways to lose. So yeah, if you figure out every way to lose the game, or to die, basically, you get the Die Hard Bruce Willis achievement. So yeah, don't forget to you can replay Neofeud and discover some new things. It doesn't have like, you can't go through in a completely alternate path though, so it's not quite that. Doesn't have quite that level of variability. But you know, try a lot of different things in the second. If you do play it again, you can try like doing different actions in different scenes, and you might get different outcomes, and you will definitely get different outcomes. You'll definitely see some things that you had missed if you play the game and do really not smart things. If you kind of do really dumb things, like, like when you do like when you do like a dumb stupid character run in a Fallout, if you do like lots of, some people just do that because it's funny stuff that happens, right, in Fallout. In Neofeud, if you kind of do like not very smart actions, it will give you several different scenes, including that there's actually like a 2-minute long big scene that you can only get by doing the wrong thing, right? It's if you people who play Neofeud, if you remember the Energenius meter, right, there's a particular scene that you can only get in that part of the game by being kind of not smart. One question I can think of is, what made you add the concert scene in the game? What did you want it to bring to the narrative or gaming experience? Why did I add this concert scene? I think I added the concert scene because well, I don't want to give too much away, but there needed to be, how do I say this? There needed to be, I put my head somewhere where it's not covering stuff. Yeah. There needed to be like celebration. There needed to be like a sense of like victory and there's like a sense of achievement and like just people like having a good time partying. What is it? A revolution without dancing is not a revolution worth having. It's kind of like, if you're somebody that has been like in a lot of struggles, which I'm a native Hawaiian, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist activist. Obviously Neofeud deals with racism. It deals with prison industrial complex, ghettoization of marginalized people. It deals with so many things, right? And a lot of that is a lot of pain. It's a lot of suffering. It's a lot of struggle, right? And if you're an activist and you're going out to actions, right? You're going out. Some people are going out as they should, in person, online, showing up, sharing media, just watching horrible things happen, right, all around the world, but especially in one particular place right now, in the Middle East, right? And you're trying to do actions to support that. You're gonna show up because you care, and it's the right thing to do. But it's also like an intense toll on you, right? Now it's a more intense toll on the people that are directly being hit, but it is a lot of suffering. It's a lot of difficulty, and you don't always get a lot of. You're never gonna get instantaneous results. It's not instant gratification, right? Like organizing work is long. Oftentimes, it's kind of like working on a game sometimes, where it's long. There's a lot of grind. There's a lot of like monotonous talking to people and talking to another person, having the same conversation with 100 people. Would you like to? What are you upset with at this workplace? Do you like the way we are treated? Do you like the way that this boss is like sexually harassing people? Do you like the way that he is talking about his yacht all day while you can't afford your groceries, right? And you have to kind of have like these, conversations that can be, it's a long struggle. It's not always fun and entertaining as you want it to be, but it's like necessary. But then like sometimes you need to, and like Neofeud and Neofeud 2 even more so deals with like the Neofeud 2 characters are the Neofeud 2 characters, especially the main characters, right, there are people that are like in the struggle. Like maybe they started out, they're like, I don't know, I'm just like a citizen in this country and I kind of want to survive. But by the end, like everyone is like in it. They're like they are going to like die. They're going to die in the revolution. Like they're going to overturn all the chessboards. They are going to unseat all the throned cushy butts. They're going to discomfort so many comfortable giant bejeweled chair butts, you know what I'm saying? By the end, and they're going to die doing that. But then also like they also have to like celebrate sometimes, because you can't just be suffering. You can't just be suffering dealing with, losses to your income because you had a watermelon on your shirt or a red triangle, right, somewhere in your TV show. You can't just be like suffering all day, every day, forever because it's the right thing to do. Because then like it's like you at some point you have to like celebrate the victories, It's kind of like Neofeud 2 has felt a lot of that. Neofeud 2 is like different from Neofeud 1, and Neofeud 2 is like Neofeud 1 is what it is, but it's like but it's more of a cautionary tale. Like this is a lot of stuff that really sucks. A lot of it. It's also like a personal story about being a activist, educator, social worker. Or it's about being like growing up, anywhere really, but obviously me specifically in Hawaii, going to school in the place where all the corporal billionaire children go, while waking up in the brown ghetto, and then driving a broken 35-year-old Toyota Corolla to park next to a bunch of Porsches and Lamborghinis, right, and be made fun of. I mean, it's part of it is the rage of that entire my childhood experiences, and then also like working as a social worker with impoverished people, right, but reflecting through cyberpunk, science fiction, and what like Game of Thrones, like feudal overlays to kind of contrast and complicate the kind of Western narrative of progress and the so-called better system that has been achieved since went from tyrannical feudalism to free democratic liberal capitalism, right? Which I think that's something that's like missing. Like there's a lot of cyberpunk, but it kind of ends at this corporate greed is a big problem, and these technologies are bad. It doesn't really like kind of go a little bit deeper into like where does all of this come from, and it's not like a future. Like a lot of times it's like this is a bad future we could get to, where Neofeud was kind of like, it's not a bad future we can get to. We're in the bad place, and the bad place is like an outgrowth of the old bad history that we have come from, and it's directly connected to that. And the feudalism is not gone. The feudalism, like the future dystopia, is the past dystopia, all the way back to the feudal system, the unjust, hierarchical, tyrannical, racist, judgmental, run by stupid idiots system of feudalism. But King George's and the Elon is the same people, right? And there's never been any change. That's part of Neofeud's point. Is like there's never been any transition to a better world that can then fall back down, right? It never got good, really. It just kind of like buried all the bodies better after, especially after World War II. So that is not a point most cyberpunk is willing to make, because most cyberpunk is made by middle class, upper middle class, white straight guys. Neofeud 2 is like going to another level with like okay, that really sucks, and yeah, that was a bad system. Like Neofeud 2 is on a galactic scale. It's beyond just one planet, and Neofeud 1 takes place on one planet, mostly in one single city. It's basically all in one. Inside the, it's like Neofeud 1 takes place all in Los Angeles, or all in Manhattan, or all in downtown London, but like from the bottom of London to the top of London, because in LA you have some of the poorest people in the US, and then you have the richest people, all within like 10 square miles, right? You got people like sleeping on the street, being overdosing, being stepped over, and then you got the richest people in the world, hanging out at the top of the tower, showing up in a helicopter, right? Helicoptering into the helipad, never even touching, right, the people on the bottom, right? That's Hawaii is like that too. People show up in the, all in Moana. You have the richest people in the world send their trophy wives to collect badges of wealth from like the Miu Miu and the Prada store, and then they go cheat on their wife, in a giant financial tower in downtown Honolulu, right? While they plan on how much money they're gonna make selling broken F-35s into Israel, right? And like, but that all happens in the center of an urban, necropolis / utopia, depending on. It's the post-apocalyptic wasteland on the bottom. That's why like Neofeud 1 looks the way it does, right? Because it's like, it's a post-apocalyptic wasteland on the bottom, and it's a utopia right above that, right? And so, but that's all within like the city. It's within the urban. It's in the heart of what many would call the imperial metropole, or in the heart of the urban center, the feudal palace, the Caesar's realm, in the heart of, at the top of the Bloomberg penthouse, which is all the same place, and it has never changed at all. It just got better marketing. And so Neofeud 2 is like, what happens when we put the Neofeud 2 trailer up for a second, since we're talking about that. And so the Neofeud 2 is like what happens when you leave that and go out to the rest of the world. And also, Neofeud 2 is a galaxy wide game. It leaves the planet, it goes to other planets, it goes to other centuries even. So Neofeud actually travels hundreds of thousands of light years across space, and it travels centuries through time. Technically, there are characters in Neofeud 2 that travel billions of years through time. You don't really see them do that. But Neofeud 2 is it's vastly broader, and it has broader horizons, wider scope. It goes through deeper time than Neofeud 1 does, right? Neofeud 1 kind of goes, like, what it's dealing with is like it's dealing with the last 500 years of history, particularly critiquing like the European to American Western history, and mostly centering inside of urban centers under neo-colonial capitalist structure, right? Or neo-feudal structure. Neofeud 2 is like all of humanity, right? Africa, Asia, Latin America, indigenous people, like the whole scope of that. Even going back to like not pre-civilization, but let's say like what the West will call civilization, right? Like 5,000 years ago, what was Africa like 8 to 10,000 years ago? What was Asia like 8,000 years ago? What was the Turtle Island, right? What were the Americas like 20,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, right? And so from the perspective of the global majority, Africa, Asia, Latin America, indigenous people of Native Americans, Native Pacific people like myself, right? From that perspective, the last 500 years of human history is a blink in the eye. It's a horrible blink in the eye, but it is a blink in the eye, right? It is not the sum total of human history. That's like a whole other perspective, right? That's not the only perspective in Neofeud 2, but that's like part of what Neofeud 2 is dealing with. right? Is like there's these two different worlds. It's kind of like it's like people in the West, they say like, if you like, I was listening to this person say like, when I left, like the people that I normally talk, I talked to a lot of international geopolitical analysts, and I'm in a lot of international activist movements and stuff. And then when I talk to people, like when I talk to people like my liberal family or conservative family, even some of my progressive family, I have cousins in university. When I talk to some of them, or a lot of them, and I say, so what do you think about they'll tell me all about what they think about Trump and Kamala. They'll talk about, oh my God, these hurricanes are horrible. They'll talk about, yeah, I went to this Free Palestine protest. They'll talk about, you know, what's happening in America. Oh man, the AI is everywhere. They're trying to force it down our throat. So many problems, right? Oh, I don't know about sending all this money to fight these wars. But then if I bring up the BRICS summit that just happened, it's like, oh, I'm not on the screen. Oh, oops. And they're like, they're saying like, if I bring up the BRICS summit, which is like earth changing, it is like a multi-century, if not multi-millennia, or a millennia or multi-millennia scale change. It is like an epoch making change that's happening right now, right? What's happening at the BRICS summit, and like, but a lot of the Western people, Americans, they were like, "What is that? I haven't even heard of it. What is a brick? What are you talking about? Is this like a conference of bricklayers? Are these like the people that are trying to restore brick and mortar record stores? Is that what BRICS is? But people have no freaking clue what the hell is happening, right? And so like that's you know, again, black, brown, indigenous, especially like external to the West, indigenous peoples, but includes internally as well. But that global perspective of the most, it's a global majority because most people are Asian, African, Central South American, Pacific Islander. They're not North American, and they're not Western European, and they're also not even the Japanese that sometimes get counted in with that, right? And the global majority has a completely different perspective. And like, yeah, they mostly don't speak. They have different reference points. It's like hard to even speak across the lines a lot of the time. Things are starting to slowly change, but it's still like the global majority. A lot of them, not perfectly, but some of they have like, at least they understand what the colonial Western world is about. Like, you can see it every day in Gaza, right? You can see what they're about in the Kanaki in the New Caledonia, right? The Africans know what the U.S. and France are doing to try to subjugate them and stop them from mining their gold, and they don't want that anymore, right? In Sudan, right? All the material that goes into your computer chips, your vapes, right? Your Apple phones coming out of Sudan and Congo, right? The Sudanese and the Congolese, I mean, you know, the people that are resisting, like, they know what the West is about. Like, they know what ultimately what they're based on. You know, and a lot of them know kind of like that Americans like don't really understand the rest of the world. They don't understand their own government. They don't understand that they live in a neo-feudal system that hasn't changed in 500 years. In Africa, people understand that. In Asia, people understand that. Native Americans understand that. These are the same. I mean, what does it matter what president you get? You're going to treat us Native people the same way. You're going to keep on stealing our land, giving us body bags during pandemics. You're going to keep on giving us smallpox blankets. Doesn't matter what flavor of fake democracy we get, right? So that's a perspective that, like, you know, Neofeud 1 doesn't go too deep into that, but Neofeud 2 is like what happens when Americans, Europeans, Canadians, etc. are forced to. It gets so bad that they have to finally, like, directly confront that. Or it's kind of like, what point does it really shift, right? How bad does it have to get? But then they go like, we have to change the system. Like, we have, like, for real, like, we're not playing this We're not playing the get out of our white guilt free card game called talking about elections. We're gonna actually do something about the problem, right? I was listening to like some Western organizers conferences. I was listening to like Haymarket Books, like there's like XOXO conference. I was just watching some videos and listening to what people were talking about there. I haven't not been in that circuit for a while. People publishing books, academics, blog, journal writing. I mean, people, but a lot of it's kind of like it's still like Western focus. It's the audiences are Western. You're writing books for people that how do we stop having writing about attention economy, surveillance capitalism, shock doctrine. But this is all still like writing for people that are like living in Vancouver and New York City buying books. This is right, and those people are also doing actions that have international impact, but they still look at people that are actually saving Palestinians and they call them authoritarians. They still like talk about Africans like they gotta come and they're gonna fly in and save them any day now. From Americans, well-meaning Americans are gonna fly into Africa and save them. They still talk about this, rather than Africans and their relatives in the rest of the colonized world are gonna work together to save themselves. Right? The West is not getting that. They're still not getting. Most of them not getting that. Some of them is a willful ignorance because they don't want to accept the meaningless of their democracy, the absolute ineffectualness of their courts, including the International Criminal Court, which just got rid of a judge. They said Netanyahu has to come in for his war crimes. Obviously, it should have been this the whole time. It should have been right. The ICC should have ruled that, and but instead of bringing him, they're simply firing the judges to get new judges in to make new rulings at this international criminal, the highest court under the United States and the collective rules-based Western order. Is like rather than actually bring in a war criminal after a year of nonstop live stream genocide, what is the West doing? Well, let's bring a new judge in and see if we can get a new verdict. And the Western populations, Americans, Canadians, they are not dealing with that. Most of them are. I'm watching them just not deal with it. They just be like pretend like head in the sand, To deal with it is I see a lot of people crying in these conferences. I'm not even joking. They're just like straight up crying. It's sad. I mean, it's like somebody used the word. We need morganizing, like mourning while organizing. I mean that like for real though. Like it's I'm talking about why we care about white Western people, privileged people's feelings, like. When the kids are being blown up and starved to death like every single day. I mean, like it's fair, but also like the West is going to have to go through extremely deep mourning. Every Western like it's like I say that like, people think, oh, Silver Spook, giving hyperbolic. The entire West is in the light, all the progress of the last 500 years in the United States, Europe, it's all the Enlightenment, the invention of American democracy, the court system, the elections, the justice system, the police, every institution, the religious institutions, nonprofits, and sort of when you say all of that is a lie and that's you're being hyperbolic, right? And I'm like, keep believing that as long as you need to, I guess, because like there is an immense amount of mourning. Most of what American, well-meaning, currently liberal or progressive peoples, what their entire lives exist of, right? It exists within the books they've read, the movies they've watched. Every movie you watched, people have been. No, it's not just people get canceled because of and people get rightfully get repercussions because like Johnny Depp because they have committed sexual assault and they just done horrible things to people. They just mistreated, especially women, very badly, right? It's not just that. Like everything that you've ever seen and watched is baked in the empire. It's propaganda. It's about manufacturing consent, and the level. It's like everything about your life, your personal history, your personality, is like. It really is. It was what makes the stormtroopers, and the modern stormtroopers. They're not goose stepping, marching, gray faced, brainwashed 1980 like some Orwellian 1984 stormtrooper. They're just Americans. There's liberal ones, conservative, progressive ones. That's and like you can be well-meaning and still not understand what you're a part of. You can be progressive, you can be liberal, you can work at a nonprofit, you can even show up to some protests and not even understand what you are a part of. And when you start to realize, right, how total expansive the empire actually is, how you are personally involved in it, it is heartbreaking. It's like mind breaking. I've seen people losing their. I mean, not like going crazy. And I know we don't want to use that word, but like they're not like they're no longer in like able to. They're not disconnected from reality fully. Like they can't even figure out what day is night. But people's minds are breaking. Like I watched a conference. Like it was a Haymarket book. I think it was Haymarket Books, or it was some conference where like half the speakers in the audience was just like sobbing. They're like, I can't. My family is like drowning. My community members are like, my librarian is like dying in North Carolina. I'm watching babies be unalived every single day. I'm watching every religious institution. I'm watching all these courts, my university, my president, all parties. I'm watching everyone just like enable this and smile. I'm watching the Democrat just like smile and say, you want cheap groceries? Yeah, all the kids are being killed. We're doing the Holocaust 2.0. I know. You want cheap groceries? I probably wouldn't even give it to you, right? And then I just watch people are just fucking like, they're like losing it. Everyone, and the thing is, this is inevitable. The United States, Americans, Europeans, Canadians, they're all gonna have to go through an extremely intense, prolonged, complete like nervous breakdown, collapse mentally. Like mentally, they're gonna have to like break, right? Like there's gonna be not just like break, like oh my god, and they're like broken into pieces on the floor, like not like psychotic break, but like like when Neo leaves the Matrix and realized what he thought was a lie, but worse than that, way worse than that. Neo didn't go through a period of like extreme grief and mourning while suffering intense Category 5 hurricanes, watching his family members be blown away. Right? It's like leaving the Matrix while watching no one come for you as half the people you knew just died in a hurricane and nobody did. No, the government, no party, no Democrat, no Republican. Most of your friends abandon you because they're just liberal, selfish people. They reveal themselves to be selfish people who don't want to deal with it themselves. It's watching your parents reveal who they are. It's watching your cousins reveal who they are. Right? Not just the conservative ones. I'm talking about the liberal, the progressive, and a lot of the left ones. You're gonna watch everyone turn on each other while they all lose it, and that is gonna be amazingly difficult. But it's like there's gonna be so much crying. People are gonna be crying for years. People are gonna be like this. People talk about copium. The copium hasn't even really started. And the copium at the highest level is like, oh, the billionaires are going, oh man, we won't even be able to, I don't know if we're gonna be able to run the world anymore. But the hundreds of millions of people of the first white Western middle to upper middle class and some of the lower class world are gonna be sobbing. They're gonna be losing it. They're gonna be basket case. They're gonna be like not knowing up from down. They're gonna be trying really wrong things to do to fix it that won't fix it. Like everyone is gonna be going through that. They're already going through that. It's gonna get worse. It's inevitable. Because but I mean, like, take heart in knowing that your relatives in the Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Native Americans and Pacific Islanders, we've been through worse. All you have to do is go through the realization that you are no longer the rulers of the world. As as the Western colonizer world, you know. And even for people like myself who are raised in the empire, it's still gonna be it's still. I'm not saying like, oh, I have nothing. I have like all kind of stuff because like I'm like I was raised inside of it. Like I work with other people that are like raised inside of it. It doesn't matter like. Yeah, I mean, yes, Native Hawaiian, but I'm still like raised inside the empire. So I'm like always like half stormtrooper. The stormtrooper half will have to go through this mourning period, right? It's like there's not gonna be any more. They're not gonna make any more. Like Neil Gaiman, I used to like his books. They're not gonna make any more Neil Gaiman books. That's because he's a sexual abuser and stuff. But like lots of stuff. There's not gonna be any more good Avengers movies. I was never a big fan of that. There's not gonna be a lot of good watchable Western content. I mean, that's not the best. That's not the most important part, but many like so much of like identity, like so much of like even like cyberpunk. Part of me is like, my God, what is this? What are you even doing with this, right? There's like what does that even mean? Like I was talking about earlier, like there's gonna be a lot more dealing with like what do we even become, right? When we have to throw out so much of our institutions, so much of our entertainment and literary history is just full of all wrong stuff. And not just that, the current people that are running the entertainment industry, movie, games, shows, they straight up they're just genocidal, straight up. If we have to rebuild like everything, like that. That's this. I mean, I'm kind of just talking all over the place, but long story short, like, there's so many dimensions to that, right? And so, I feel like people are gonna be, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Long story short, so like that like Neofeud 2 is trying to start. Neofeud 2 is trying to what I started talking about this long, like update on where we are collectively in the world. But what I meant to, I was coming off of a Neofeud 2. why Neofeud 2 is the way it is. Big Teal says, so true. I'm going to get going now. Yeah, take it easy, Grant. Yeah, we become human again, but we throw that all out. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. Like, like Neofeud 2 is trying to deal with what is it, what does, like, Neofeud 1 is like, these are the problems, right? The world is this way. These are problems with it. Here is an investigation of, all these systems, right? It doesn't really give a solution, right? Neofeud 2 is kind of like, okay, we have all these problems. Here is like the other side of that. Like here is the perspective of the people that have actually suffered the greatest in the last many centuries, right? This is that side. If you want to get better, if you don't want to live in a Shadowrun, Blade Runner, but worse, Mad Max, Fallout, Hellscape. If you don't want to go down like a Black Mirror, the worst episode of Black Mirror times the Torment Nexus, staffed by a rusting Cybertruck and a billionaire god, chaining everybody up to his planet-eating, generative, climate and planet, water and energy guzzling, planet-burning, generative AI brain control mechanism. Right? If you don't want to just go to the worst possible world, or one some variation on all the worst sci-fi dystopian nightmares and apocalypses. If you don't want to go there, right? What does that look like? Right? What do you have to do? That's like that's what Neofeud 2 is trying to deal with. What does that look like for people in Los Angeles? What does it look like for a black person in New York? What does it look like for an Asian person in Vancouver? What does it look for a white upper class person in London, or a lower class person there? Right? What does it look like for somebody who was born in Lebanon and migrated to Dearborn, Michigan? Right? Who feels like they betrayed their people. Someone who was born in Libya, came to America, became an astrophysicist, was won prestigious awards like imaging like the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way galaxy, is gainfully employed and has friends and family, has friends now and some family that live in the United States as a Libyan person, and then was horrified to watch their country be destroyed and bombed by the country they have a job in the United States, and they watch the United States bomb and destroy their country, blow up their community, and now they have slave markets, right? What is that person? What is that person that is a migrant from the global south, from Africa into the United States? What do they need to do? Like, right? What is their positionality relative to, like, I don't know, an African in Burkina Faso who is now finally for the first time growing their own food, making their own cotton, and they have like 13 tons of gold after centuries upon centuries of just plundering every ounce of resource and wheat under slave labor, under European colonialism in Africa, right? Like what? Like, because the person in Africa has one thing that they're doing. The Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigerian that is, right, building their own development, removing the tentacles, right? But then the person that is of Nigerian descent, who is now writing books and editing movie scripts in London, right, cutting out all the pro-Palestinian material, who is of Nigerian descent, right? The permanent adjunct professor that's teaching, who is of, Vietnamese descent or Filipino descent, who is teaching history and is forced to adhere to a certain curriculum in California, who is being threatened with being fired. What is their responsibility? Who's being threatened of being fired because they went to a pro-Palestine action? What is the responsibility of that person? Right? What is their life gonna look like? Right? Or like what? Not necessarily what their life gonna look like, but neither is like, what will they need to do? Along with the people that are like native, along with the people that are just just your average American, what will they all need to do? What will they go through? Right? What kind of suffering will they go through? How will they struggle to undo that entire system to avoid ending up in a dystopian hellscape, right? I think it's like, there is, it's kind of like, it's not necessarily utopia, but there is like a very positive future for people in the United States and other places if they can come through that. But it's like, coming through that is not going to be easy. It's not going to be it's not going to come through an election. It's not going to come through any court case. It's not going to come through any, as we already said, the courts are the courts is just proven the complete illegitimacy. Not the least of which is the United Nations will cease to exist as any kind of as a U.S. based neo-colonial colonial system maintenance operation. Is basically what the UN is to give a fig leaf of civilization to barbaristic places. And so, and the ICC, the International Criminal Court, and by extension all Western courts, are extensions of that imperial system, that unjust system, right? And so it's not going to come through court. Everyone who is saying that like there will be a legislation that will change something about all these systems is I'm sorry, but you're deluded, but they will continue to be deluded, and then they will have serious mental breakdowns when they realize at 40 or 50 years old that they have mostly wasted their time. That's like a horrible thought to have. Like, I spent 8 years in school, in law school. I went to all these actions. I fought against all of these, litigated so hard in all of these things, and at the end of the day, that didn't do anything. It didn't matter, because the systems and the people in power do not care about law, they will make new laws if the laws that if they are not getting their way through the current legal structure, they will simply make new laws. And they can. And they have violence behind that. Right? And you cannot sue US corporations, billionaires, the global capitalist imperialist class. You cannot sue them into them stopping unaliving you, or oppressing you. You cannot law them out of it. You cannot vote them out of it. You cannot talk to them. There's no amount of information you can give them, the corporations and that class. You can't give them information. Nobody will see the light of day and change. They are doing what they want to do. It hurts and it kills people in Palestine, all around the world, even in their own countries. It's killing people. Again, in North Carolina, it's killing people in wildfires. It's killing people from food insecurity. It's killing people. It's wrongfully incarcerating people. And Kamala Harris is just cackling. And Kamala Harris is that face, right? It doesn't care. She laughed. Oh, you put a lot of it doesn't matter how good a YouTube deep dive you do on big pharma or big prison. It doesn't matter if you write the most bulletproof indictment of any individual, of capitalism itself, of any corporation, of any colonial system, of racism, of sexism, of anti-queerness, of the military-industrial complex. It doesn't. You can. What you say is irrelevant. How intelligent you are, how many facts you know, how correct you are is irrelevant. It's irrelevant to not that you don't need to be educated, but that's not going to change anything at all. Other people learning these facts is irrelevant. The corporations already know those facts. What they don't know, it's irrelevant. If they learn it, they're like, yeah, well, we don't care. And most of the West, I would say, most of the West that's like 35 and older is still in that place. There's a good chunk of the 35 and younger that still believe that if we tell the right people, if we bring this, I know because I can see them. I can see them. They're journalists, they're writers, right? They're some of them are activists, right? So at least part-time they're doing some action. And the action is not irrelevant, but there's still a belief that, like, if we brought the right information to the right people, if the certain information is brought to light, if the courts learn of this, if even if the citizens, if the masses learn of this, something will change. All of that is false. That is false. Like, there are ways to, I can't say what is required to make the necessary changes. I mean, on an accelerated, in a longer term, right, changes will happen. But if you actually, from inside the United States or any Western country, want to change things, I can't really say exactly what it would take. But let's just say that, like, as things continue to get worse, there will be more and more and more freaking out and mourning and collapsing and breaking down. That's kind of the thing. And so Neofeud 2 is not just like a sad game, but it does deal with, like, okay, well, now that we know that this voting did nothing, bringing this court case did nothing, everyone can see the live stream genocide, nothing's happening. Everyone can see that people are being hit with World War I chemical weapons in biolabs by the U.S. and EPA is enabling it. Nothing's happening, right? And then some people are like, okay, what's the next step, right? And everyone kind of like, there's going to be many more years of people burying their heads in the sand. Hopefully as minimal as possible, but many more years of people burying their heads in the sand, hoping that they are not the next to succumb to the hurricane. I mean, hurricane, not just as hurricane climate disaster specifically, but like all of these economic disasters, climate disasters, health disasters, COVID disasters, right? There's going to be many more years. Everyone who isn't masking is somebody, just those people. Everyone who isn't masking is part of the group of people. That's the majority of Westerners, Americans and Canadians, etc. The majority of anyone who isn't masking is still living in that denial phase, and that's just one dimension of it. Like, right? I don't want to see the truth of what needs to actually be done. I don't want to accept that. I'm gonna live, and I'm gonna probably jeopardize my life, and I might live a shorter life, but I'm gonna live in denial like it's 2019 or 2010 or 1995, right? And the West looks like big chunks of people living in that clueless denial, sobbing inside, right? Consuming all kind of flavors of copium. There's gonna be strawberry, chocolate, vanilla flavored copium, all the copium you want, right? China is solving climate at what cost is just that's the tip of the iceberg. You know, there's gonna be like, authoritarian Iran is actually militarily defeating Israel, but at what cost? That's a new one. You know, people will see. That's like Western copium. Like everything you've done is nothing compared to what the Arab axis of resistance has actually done, and they don't need a white savior. You know, I mean, like, yeah, it's helpful to do the boycotts. It's not nothing. You know, and that, like, this is a place that must be militarily defeated. You know, and you are not going to do it. And in fact, if you sign up for the military, you will be fighting on the wrong side of history, as you always were. And there's a whole copium with that. That's like, there's a whole like denial and bargaining with that. That's like, I can't stop the children dying on my screen. I can't stop the children dying on my screen. But then simultaneously, I'm gonna be, you know. But then it's like, when somebody is actually stopping it, like for real, right? And you don't want to say who those allies are, which is it's in the global majority. You know, then it's kind of like, no, but those people can't be stopping it, because if those people are stopping it, I have to accept that my country, my society, my neighbors, my culture, my boss, my job, the companies I work for, the writers I look up to, all these people are absolutely, again, because to accept that, right, the BRICS is doing more by far than any the collective West has ever done, and is made up of the actual oppressed people of Earth, and they are liberating themselves. You're not liberating anything. You're barely trying to survive your own Western dying empire. You're trying to survive being the oppressor, and the bigger oppressor cannibalizing itself. You are not going to liberate anything. You'd be lucky if you liberate yourself. The United States will be, the U.S. and Europe will be lucky if they all don't, like, you know, if they get to their own, if their own people can stop turning on each other. Families turning on family members, right? Bosses throwing out their, you know, professors sitting there with their tenure watching, like, underpaid undergrads and students being thrown to the wolves, being beaten by cops, right? America will be lucky, the West will be lucky if it can reclaim a fraction of a soul at the end of the day, let alone liberate Palestinians or anyone or Africans. They're liberating themselves. They're not even listening to you. They're too busy talking to each other about the real issues and planning the future of human civilization, which they had been running before the West showed up, with Christopher Columbus and the colonial era, where you ransacked the world. The BRIC, Russia, China, Iran, the African, Asians, they're too busy working on, you know, the future, politely watching you fall apart, hoping you don't fall apart too hard, because it's painful to watch. It's sad to watch. It's pathetic to watch. And, but it's kind of like, you know, but it's inevitable. It's inevitable that this is going to happen. And at a certain point, I don't know, but it's going to get hard enough that people, and it's going to get hard enough for enough people, I think, that it's going to take, things will transform into a new level of, there'll be new techniques to bring about the changes that Americans and Europeans and Canadians want to see when they want it enough, you know? Anyways, I've just been talking, not looking at the chat. I'm still trying to process how Google markets that app to kids is so dangerous. You know, chocolate flavored copium. You know, like cake batter, Reese's copium. Gonna have like, you know, what, a marshmallow, Rocky Road copium, all kind of flavors of copium. Anyways, let me stop talking about that, and I gotta go already. Okay. Anyways, I mostly just been talking, but yeah. So Neofeud 2 deals with a lot of topics like that, but it will also, like, you know, what I was trying to say was that, like, it's gonna be really hard. Like, you know, I'm having a hard time. You know, like, I'm speaking from experience. Like, I'm being cut off from some family members, some friends. I tune into certain, like, the people that I wrote Neofeud 1 in, like, in the writing communities that I was in, and I tune into their, like, I don't want to say who, but I tune into some of these communities now in their social spaces, not even on social media, like in like private chats, Discord, Slack, you know, and what are the communities doing? Right? What are my old friends doing there? Very smart people. I mean, these are very well-read people, right? They're like sharing pictures of, like, look at this generative AI song I made. I made a Red Hot Chili Peppers song called, like, like Calatrumpification. I wrote this song, but it's like you put a prompt into a water guzzling, carbon spewing, you know, giant, you know, stochastic parrot plagiarism software, world-ending waste of semiconductors and computer chips to make a broken toy, to make a bad song that you didn't even write, to trick yourself into believing you can write music, oppressing more black and brown people who are going to be working to build that waste of electricity called the generative AI you just used, ChatGPT, etc. And, like, they're posting pictures of, like, look at how cool this text is. Look at this painting I made. Look at this. I literally, like, I went into, like, the creative, like, areas, and I'm like, this is just like Gen AI schlop. What happened to you? Like, what? And then, like, and everyone's like, oh, you know, so I just, you know, went to a concert and I have a cough, and it's, you know, it sucks when you cough up blood for 2 weeks after you get a cold. But that's just how colds are, and everyone's like agreeing with them. They're like, "Oh yeah, you know, I've been coughing and sneezing, and like I felt like you know, my body is just like completely collapsing, you know." But that happens every week. Every week we get colds, coughs, RSV, and I'm like, what the? Like, and like they're talking about like it's normal, and I'm like, Holly and I, we haven't had a cold, a flu, we haven't had COVID as far as we know, we haven't had mpox, we haven't had any illness in 4.5 years because we've been masking, right? And I'm not saying that everybody has had zero illnesses, but like these people are like talking like it's normal for them to be coughing up blood all the time. These are the people that I was like in community with. Like when I was working on Neofeud 1, they were like giving me direct feedback on like, I really like Carl Carbon's arm. It's really neat. I like this direct reference to Neuromancer. Very, very smart people. These are like programmers. These are like also novel writers. They know William Gibson personally. And like, these are the same people that are now, they're like, I have a hard time like reading their freaking posts without like feeling like I'm having an aneurysm or like, again, like I feel like my brain is like splitting it up into, like I feel like I can't reconcile this, you know? So like, I'm not even speaking like, I'm not saying like, oh, over there's this work that you Americans have to do this work. You know, like, as Hawaii colonized, occupied by the United States, you know, it's like, if you're speaking, you know, as somebody speaking English and like selling products, a lot of them are like tailored to people who were at least raised in and around the West. I'm like, I'm gonna have to go through the same thing, you know, but that's like, but it was good to like see that there are many, many people that are going through this, whatever you want to call it, like the painful dissolution, but the dissolution that leads to revolution phase of, you know, where we are in the West right now, you know, and like, you know, we're not going to be alone in this. We're going to go through it, but we're going to have to like, it's gonna be rough. It's gonna be really rough. You know what I'm saying? Tio said I had to resort to blocking AI posts on social media. I can't look at that hideous art. Yep. So it's actually about Terminus Machina. Yeah, that is not how a code works. Big deal. There should not be blood. My goodness. Yeah, like people. It is not normal to get colds. It's not normal for people to be sick every week or every 2 weeks. Normally, it was like, you know, maybe 2 times, maybe 3 times a year. That was normal. You know, a cough, a stomach bug, a cold, like 2 or 3 times a year. But I'm seeing like so many people that like I used to like respect so highly, look up to, and they're just like, oh yeah, I was just hospitalized from the cold that I had. You don't get hospitalized from a cold. Oh yeah, I had like heart palpitations and my hair started falling out when I got that cough. That's not a like that is part of the denial. That you know, that's one of the layers of this denial. That's the biomedical like the viral virus layer of that. But there's many other layers to this, right? That's just one of them. So we asked about Terminus Machina. Terminus Machina, the game is the Terminus Machina. Oh yeah, 2 full commercial and development. Oh yeah, the Terminus Machina full version is Terminus Cyberstar. If you're curious about that, it's actually technically it's not the full version. I think it is the it is a sequel. Like Terminus Machina is the Terminus Machina is the Terminus Machina 2, a full commercial version, but it's Terminus Machina 2. It's not Terminus Machina. Like Terminus Machina the game, just Terminus Machina 1 is done. Terminus Machina 1 is what it is, right? But it's a mod for Deus Ex. Like Terminus. You know, I if I had more time, I would have made Terminus longer. But Terminus Machina, there's not going to be a longer Terminus Machina, if in case that's what you're wondering. As far as I know, like I don't have any plans to make a longer Terminus Machina. I simply do not have there are not enough Silver Spooks in the world for that. Like if I get a cloning machine and I can make like 25. You know, alternate universe like the Silver Spook verse, when I can bring other Spider-Mans come in. If I can get like an Andrew Garfield version of myself, and then like a Tobey Maguire version of myself, except like but with my brain inside of them, you know. Then, barring a cloning barring like a duplication machine that allows me to materialize 25 Silver Spooks, there's no Terminus Machina like longer than Terminus Machina, but. Terminus Machina 2 is Terminus Cyberstar. That is in development. I am the content director and the lead writer of that. And you can follow it here at Terminus C. And you can join the Discord if you want to learn about what the development process is, how the development process is going for the team. I'm actually not doing much work on that at all. I just like wrote the initial game design document, the initial story and the world, and like how the game would be built. It has like similar mechanics and ideas and designs and some returning character, and actually some of Neofeud 2 is a crossover from there's companies and entities and places in Neofeud 2 and Terminus Cyberstar, so that the Terminus and Neofeud worlds are linked in that sense. Terminus Machina characters like Silver Spook show up in Neofeud 2 as well, so But yeah, anyway, so this is Terminus Cyberstar is a game that a team is working on, so I'm just a writer. There's a artists, 2D, 3D artists, RPG, programmers, level art, level creators, level designers. There's a whole other team of people working on this. It's a separate game. Terminus Cyberstar is a separate game from Terminus Machina. That's just to answer that one question about Terminus Machina. But if you're looking for like a Terminus Machina, like the original Terminus Machina that goes past District 10, I had some plans for that. I cannot sell Terminus Machina, so that's part of why I stopped. I started working on Neofeud 1 because like I was like, well, I can't just work on this mod because I can't make any money from it. But I mean, I actually I had not realized that some people just like work on mods and they just get like Patreon or Kickstarter support. So, but you know, man, you know when I started making Terminus Machina, that was like 2009, 10. When I started like working in Deus Ex, it was like 2010. I am like a different. Let me just put it like this: I'm a different person now. It has been over 10 years. I'm like 41 now, and I was like late 20s, early 30s when I was working on Terminus Machina. I have to even start to work on that. It would be you know, I would not be holding your breath for that. I would never say like never, but like Terminus Cyberstars, I'm not personally developing that. Like I'm just like here's some material, you go work on that, right? And so potentially if somebody was like Silver Spook, I have a team that could work on more of the Terminus Machina 1 world that comes after District 10. And they were like, you know, and I don't know. I don't know what that would look like. Then I might be like, oh, well, you know. I mean, something might happen. But I highly doubt that I am going to go dig through the freaking day. You know how much of a nightmare it was? How difficult it was to dig through the Deus Ex engine to program wireless hacking, you know, make a mini map. I changed. I think Terminus Machina was the biggest gameplay changes, like, and additions, the biggest actual, like, modifying the entire Deus Ex engine. As far as I know, the Nameless mod is longer than Terminus Machina for sure. But I feel like Terminus Machina might have been the biggest actual, like, engine change, total conversion for Deus Ex that I know of. And that was, like, very difficult. As they say in Britain, it was difficult, lemon difficult. Anyways, an alternate multiverse Keanu with Silver Spook would be so cool. Silver Spook Keanu started. Silver Spook start with Matrix and Andromeda. But yeah, like yeah, you can look through the Terminus Machina though for more material about that. If you didn't, yeah, if something didn't show up inside of the game, I'm not sure. But yeah, anyways, oh yeah, don't forget to check out the Silver Spook podcast with William Gibson though. But yeah, no, I'm not gonna do probably anything with Terminus Machina. I made I think $200 of donations, and we need more money than that to exist in the world. Unfortunately, like 4 days of American groceries cost $200. So that is not worth 2 years of work. I mean, I'm glad that people really like the game. That's really great. People like like a lot of people did like Terminus Machina that did play it. Like, you know, that's great. But like, yeah, that's not happening. Like, I gotta finish Neofeud 2. Like I was saying earlier, like I have to pick and choose what I spend my energy on. I need to get Neofeud 2 done. Just to finish Neofeud 2, it takes like all the time and energy I have. It's taken more. I'm like a one-person developer. So I program, I write the story, I make the characters, I design the characters, I paint the characters, I animate them, I paint the background. The stories are pretty complex, and so like keeping all that stuff together is just like that is a whole ass job. And like to finish Neofeud 2 is taking like over twice as long as I wanted it to. So yeah, I'm not gonna be biting. I mean, once I'm done with Neofeud 2, I'm gonna be working on something else. But you know, I have not decided that yet. Actually, I have some ideas for like an alternate Actually, I was thinking about doing possibly a Doom mod. I already started modding in Doom. I already started modding in Half-Life. GZ Doom. People make games in GZ Doom, and so that was a possible engine I was thinking of using because I was kind of like doing something a little bit different. I feel like I've cyberpunked out. I've done so much freaking cyberpunk. I'm running out of Terminator jokes to make. You know what I'm saying? I'm like John Connor's, like John Connor lookalikes, hippie Terminators, milk cartons getting speared through by, liquid metal blades. There's only so many milk cartons you can stab through, like John Connor's dad, into somebody else's head. There's only so many times you can do that. There is only so many. There are only so many Matrix agent lookalikes that you can unplug and bring into the revolution. You can only unplug them so many times, right? Before it stops. There are only so many iRobots that you can free from the drudgery of being a sentient person, working for Bill Gates, cleaning his towels in a humanoid form. There's only so many iRobots you can. I'm like running out of like it's like I'm gonna keep doing the same. I don't want to do the same thing too many times until it gets like tired. You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking about moving to do another kind of game. I had ideas for like I've made platformers actually. So I've actually made these are smaller projects in between. But Decolonators is a side-scrolling Contra like retro arcade game platformer where you kick capitalist colonizer butts out of your sovereign country. I worked on Pigeon with Gun is actually like it's like a retro cyberpunk comedy game. Like some of those like retro 80s cyberpunk kind of what do they call them, like retro wavy kind of games. So but this one's like a comedy game but it uses a similar system. It's like a side scroller where you play a pigeon with a gun. It's actually based in one of Holly's friends' fantasy universes, but the pigeon blows away tons of cops, F-35 pilots that are also Starbucks owners, or I'm sorry, not Starbucks, Pumpkin Spice, the coffee shop owners, and gajillionaires. And also, of course, I worked on let's see, there's a Neofeud 2 card game. This a Neofeud card game, but it's not actually put that out yet. I'm not quite in the position to release that. One thing I might do is finish the Neofeud card game that has like I actually made this in AGS. I made this collectible card game inside the Adventure Game Studio. I'm just weird like that. I made Terminus Machina. That's a weird game. That's like a lot of modification. I like modding things. That it does bring me joy to do these things. And I made the side scrollers. I made those side scrollers in the Adventure Game Studio engine as well. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, Ninja Star is another game. This Ninja Star is set between Neofeud 1 and Neofeud 2. It's like a smaller adventure game. Yeah. I also make music. And I wrote the Neofeud short story collection. So I wrote a book. I wrote 2 books. There's also a Terminus Machina story collection. And then I also have the Neofeud soundtrack. So I also made the Neofeud soundtrack, of course, which is 2.5 hours of music. This is the next thing I gotta do actually is I gotta figure out the Neofeud 2 soundtrack. I might compose it. Some people want me to compose it, or it's kind of implied, so we'll see. Because a lot of people, I think probably the most praised part of Neofeud might be the soundtrack. Actually, the highest percentage of people who reviewed the game, I think, liked the soundtrack. They might not have liked other aspects of it or not liked them as much, but almost everybody, the highest percentage, like almost everybody was like the soundtrack. So I might have to do the second soundtrack. That's gonna be, yeah. So I'm thinking about it though. I'm thinking about it. What I'm gonna do. Big Cell says, "Ooh, a card game, indeed." Neofeud 2 rough draft is done. Okay. Anyways, I gotta go. It's 2:16. Time to go. Anyways, so yeah, I hope I have answered most of the questions on Neofeud's 2, where things are at. As I said earlier, there have been some offers to translate to Russian and Chinese and other languages, and there's a way to translate adventure games, studio games. You don't even need the original game creators to be involved. There's like it's like a subtitle file, like a translation file, and there's a way to patch these translations in there. I think there actually is a Russian I think somebody has already done a Russian translation. But yeah, I don't have time to get involved with that stuff. But yeah, if people do those if people do .tra file translations, that's great, because more people can play Neofeud. And I don't have the money and the time and the assets to go through getting the game translated. Even Dave Gilbert of Wadjet Eye Games. I was talking to Dave and Wadjet Eye, and they were like, Wadjet Eye is another indie developer that produces a lot of really, really cool games. They use the same engine that I used to make Neofeud, which is Adventure Game Studio. And like Dave was saying, like, they would love to have lots and lots of translations, but they don't have the resources quite to do all that. And they have like, they make, they're a bigger, like, they're a multi-person studio, and they're like more total money and resources than I do. So that made me feel less bad about that when I was like, Dave, it's some of the other people who actually Techno Babylon's creator, James Dearden. I was talking to James also. It's one of the inspirations behind Neofeud as well. I was like, oh, I really like this game. I'm gonna make something like it. And it's like, yeah, it can be hard to get all these translations, because if you really want it to be done right, it's like many thousands of dollars for each language to translate and localize. And like, if you're indie and you're not making like millions of dollars, that's like it's hard to justify that. Like, we're gonna spend $200,000 translating to all these languages and localizing. What if we make like 100,000? So I mean, that's what you gotta think about. Anyway, okay. Today's stream. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, do check out the music. Yeah. Vito says, thank you for today's streams. Glad you could stop by and hang out for a bit for the game updates and how it addresses a lot of today's issues. Yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. Don't forget, yeah, if you haven't yet, Neofeud is on. Yeah, some people like the Terminus Machina soundtrack. Some people like that song. You can also get the Terminus Machina soundtrack. Since we're talking about that a little bit, I'll just drop it. I can always share. I usually share all the places you can find our stuff at the end of the streams. Anyway, but you can get the Neofeud soundtrack, and also the Terminus Machina soundtrack on Bandcamp. You can also get it on. You can get maybe not all of the music, but you can get them also on itch.io. But Terminus, yeah, Terminus Machina, District 10. I did write all this music as well for the Terminus soundtrack. I was actually, the thing I've been doing longest is music, longer than programming, writing, and the art is actually music. So Terminus Machina has a soundtrack that you can get there. The Neofeud soundtrack is also there, and of course Neofeud is on sale on Steam for another 5 days. So don't forget to grab it if you have not yet. Every sale does support everything that we do here at the Silver Spook Cooperative. And of course, if you have a second to leave even a very short review, it is massively appreciated, because it does help us get the game discovered in the Steam algorithm. Secretly the greatest and also funniest cyberpunk adventure game is one of the reviews that I try to remember. I forget who posted it, but yeah, if you're into cyberpunk, science fiction, retro games, 90 games, adventure games, indie games, and you want to support independent cooperative studios that use no AI, there are no exploited workers, everybody gets paid exactly the same, There's no CEO greedy dicks running the show. Unless if Holly starts saying, "Oh, Silver Spook is lying this whole time," all of a sudden, that's because I had such a severe personality change for some strange reason. But other than that, you can help us out to finish Neofeud 2, and of course, you can also get the game on Steam, like I already showed, and of course, you can also get it on sale there as well. And I already talked about all the other games, so I'm not gonna go through that. But you can also get Woman, which is a book by Holly, who was raised in right-wing evangelical Protestant Christianity. And it's a book that critiques that world from Mary's perspective in the Bible. And also you can follow at Silver Spook Games at Mastodon. Silver Spook Games at Wandering.shop and or at Silver Spook Games at Mastodon.social on Mastodon. You can also follow on Twitter at Silver Spook Games, minus the E and Silver for the games. Today is the games stream, so this is the games related account. Silver Spook Games minus E and Silver. And you can also follow Silver Spook Guy. Silver Spook Guy is like my personal takes on stuff. Why can I not? Oh, I'm already in there. Yeah, you can follow Silver Spook Guy for my personal stuff. You can also follow, I already shared that, but I'll share it again. Terminus C is the account for Terminus Cyberstar. That is the sequel to Terminus Magna that I'm the content director, lead writer of. Holly, of course, is the partner here at the Silver Spook Cooperative. Allergic to Blue, writer, producer, moderator, married to myself. Land back free Hawaii, MECFS Saver. Please be safe with the ongoing, H5N1. I just saw there's like multiple human-to-human transmission in California. So, I'm just saying, we're not even in the winter yet. We're not seriously in the winter yet, so let's be careful out there. But also, yes, follow Holly. And of course, if people use Blue Sky, I have a Blue Sky as well. As you can follow at Silver Spook. What is my Blue Sky? silverspookgames.bsky.social. Yeah. Anyway, that is it. Thank you to all of our Patreon patrons. Massively appreciate all of your ongoing support. Without your support, really, I would not be able to finish Neofeud 2. There would be no Neofeud 2 without all these Patreon patrons. And whatever comes after Neofeud 2, who knows? I have not decided what is coming after Neofeud 2. What I will work on. So the sky is the limit. The cyberspace, to cyber infinity and beyond. Who knows what will happen after that? Maybe I'll make an entire virtual reality universe, and the entire world will become a simulation within the Silver Spook verse, and you will be but a set of pixels wobbling aimlessly around. No, I'm just kidding. You'll be wandering very purposefully around the Silver Spook verse, as it all comes true because I predict the future. Anyways, thanks to all these people on this list. Massively appreciated. And now we shall be going. And don't forget to. What am I saying? Keep your mirror pause. My head's in the wrong side of the screen. I can't think of what I'm supposed to say because my head is in the incorrect corner. Keep your mirror posh. Be excellent to each other. Keep on partying on hard in the Cyberthrone game. Play the Cyberthrone game and win the game of Cyberthrones by toppling all the thrones in the real world. And we will see you next time.